Well, let's go live now to Tehran, where the head of Iran's Civil Aviation Organisation is speaking to the press. Let's listen to Ali Abdelaziz.
We are still conducting investigations. However, before I start, I would like to address the Iranian people, saying that the recent statements made by the Ukrainian and American parties and other statements made by politicians, as you know, the matter is of complex technical details. Canada and Iran, together with Ukraine, are following up with the investigations. And once a technical report is concluded, they will be presented to the Ukrainian and Canadian leaders. And in turn, they will disclose the outcomes to the whole world. And as you may notice, that the latest information we have are presented and circulated on time. If they have technical proof, they can come forward and present it. This is a very important point. However, considering the fact that the information contained in the black box or the aviation systems, including the recent conversation between the pilots, these pieces of information are very critical. And there are hundreds of technical points that should be addressed before reaching a conclusion. Therefore, any statement made before extracting the information contained in the black box are groundless. However, I would like to assure that the craft was not hit by a missile. The craft suffered flames for 1.5 minutes after taking off. As a result, the pilot decided to return to the airport. However, he had many technical issues at hand, and his top priority was to save the passengers. After taking off, minutes from taking off, he contacted the control tower, and before that, he requested permission to climb up to 26,000 feet. Therefore, it is not appropriate to jump to conclusions. Once the information contained in the black box, we will be able to establish what happens. What happens in such a situation? The information contained in the black box are extracted, then analyzed in order to establish the condition of the craft and the pilot as well. However, I assure you, again, it is a very complex and complicated case. We have the necessary equipment to do so, yet this particular incident is of great complexity, and since the passengers are of different nationalities, we are expecting some other countries to step forward and come join the investigations and lend a helping hand. We ask your permission for Mr. Ridai to join in order to shed light on some of the technical details. This morning, we started our investigations in 2 different courses. We had a security meeting with our colleagues. we had another technical meeting on how to extract the information contained in the black box. We also had a meeting with Ukrainian officials. We are employing technical engineers responsible for extracting data from black box. They are Iranians. And as you know, any carrier has the ability to extract information and data from the black box. 3 Iranian companies have the up-to-date, sophisticated equipment necessary to extracting the data from the black box. We will also retain experts and professionals from aviation incidents in the Iranian national carrier. We also had a meeting with the investigation committee in presence of the Ukrainian officials. They also, on their part, confirmed that the black box suffered certain damages. However, the conversation between the pilot and the control tower is obtained. We are carrying initial investigations at Mehrabad Airport, and this preliminary assessment will be concluded today. We are also seeking possibilities on how to repair the damaged black box. In case the other Ukrainian officials have any suggestions with respect to how to repair the damaged box, they can come forward. At the same time, we have an existing cooperation agreement with other countries like Russia. We have established 4 points where will be able to extract the information contained in the black box. If we fail, other 4 countries, Canada, Ukraine, the United States, and Russia, have expressed their preparedness to cooperate. However, it is very much likely that the data contained in the black box can be extracted by our own experts. However, if we come to a conclusion that the information contained in the black box cannot be extracted and the Iranian technical experts fail to do so, we may seek assistance from one of these 4 countries.
If you're just joining us here on Al Jazeera, we have been listening in to a press conference coming from Tehran where the head of Iran's Civil Aviation Organisation has been speaking to the press. His name is Ali Abedzadeh. He started off by addressing the Iranian people about these accusations that the plane was hit by a missile. The headline so far from this press conference is that the Iranians say unequivocally, based on what they know from pilot recordings and other technical insinuations, that the plane was not hit by a missile. What they're asking is that the international community holds on until they have all the technical information. Let's go back and continue to listen in.
Said the pilot was in contact with the control tower after taking off. He communicated the airport and he sought permission to climb up to a higher level. That's what he did. After the takeoff, the plane was well airborne, and he found a chance to communicate with the airport. He spoke with the control tower in Mehrabad Airport, seeking permission to take the second altitude. That's why he sought and he obtained permission to climb up to 26,000 feet. After that, fire broke out in the craft for 2 minutes. What happened between these 2 points? At that point, it was natural for the pilot to seek permission to return to the airport. However, he should press the communication tool in order to establish communication with the airport. However, we believe he was trying to do his best to salvage the situation. As you know, there is audio recording in the cockpit, and how long the investigation will run before we reach a final conclusion. According to the preliminary investigations, 12 technical committees have been formed. They are responsible for analyzing data. These 12 committees are supposed also to examine the crash site. I believe 3 days have passed. We have covered a good distance in terms of the investigations, and now we have come into the technical investigations on the crash scene. And as you know, this is a very complicated process. At the same time, we are trying to extract the data contained in the black box. This has to be done first. As we stand, the situation is not clear. However, I assure you that the craft was not hit by a missile as falsely reported. The Americans claim they are in possession of certain documents prove that the craft was downed by Iranian missiles by mistake. These statements were made by American officials. If they are truly in possession of documents proving these claims, they will or they are required to step forward and present these documents to the whole world. I believe these are these are totally political issues, and these are political statements. Some of the public were able to catch some amateur videos. Were you able to examine these as well? Yes, I have myself examined these amateur videos. And as you know, these were taken by average common people. However, these videos show that the craft was in flame and continued to be in flames for 60 or 70 seconds. Also, these videos show that the craft was not hit by a missile or anything else. It is natural that if the craft was hit by a missile, it would drop to the ground immediately. It was clear that the craft caught flames and it continued to be so for 60, 70 seconds. If the missile had been hit by a missile, the debris would have scattered over a large area. If you may recall, the Ukrainian craft that was hit by a missile, we can recall that the debris fell over a vast area on the ground.
Did you invite Sweden to be part of this investigation?
Uh, 16 to 17 Swedish people were on board the craft. Did you invite the Swedish authorities to join the investigations? Yes, we communicated with Sweden and Canada in order to be closely monitoring the investigations. Such a request from our part to these countries prove that we are genuine and we are taking the necessary steps, and we are keen on having all the parties interested come closely monitor and follow up with the current investigations. No, these discussions were raised with respect to the delay of the flight. The craft landed earlier in Iran. Both the pilots went to the hotel for rest. However, they took rest only for 3 hours. The plane at the beginning delayed the flight. And I believe it was a Christmas holiday, and the majority of the passengers were carrying many luggages. That's why the boarding process took a long period of time. Passengers started to board. And as you know, also the weather conditions were not suitable. The pilot at that time wanted to make sure that he had sufficient fuel, and he requested for more fuel. It was notable that the fuel he requested, the number of passengers, and the weight of luggage is in excess of what the craft could carry. That's why the pilot should have loaded off some of the luggage. This call must be made by the pilot himself. He is the one responsible for taking such a decision, either to load off certain luggage or certain passenger. That would be a reason for delaying the flight. Some of the luggage were loaded off, and they were supposed to be carried forward on a different flight. This is a normal process, and it is natural, and it is being carried out at any flight, at any airport, at any given time.
جزو کدام پیمان شیکاگو هست. ما پیمان‌های مختلفی داریم بحث خسارت‌های
At these circumstances, this craft is insured by Ukraine, the Ukrainian carrier, and the insurance company will pay compensation to the carrier, which is the Ukrainian Airlines. We have also Chicago Alliance, and we have a Chicago and Tokyo treaties. And we should first establish the craft is insured by which insurer and covered under which agreement. That's why the Ukrainian carrier must present the relevant insurance documents, and in turn, these compensations will be offered to the relatives of victims. However, it is known that compensations will be paid to the victims, including the Iranians. The Ukraine International is responsible for paying compensation. However, this carrier, of course, is covered under insurance, and these matters will be resolved between the carrier and the insurance companies before compensations are paid to the victims, either in US dollars, Ukrainian currency, or Iranian ones. As you may know, this is a very huge incident. It is a huge, massive incident. Investigations will drag for a long period of time. It may even extend over 1 or 2 years. Extracting data from the black box also may take a month or 2. What we are asking the public and officials alike is to maintain calm and help us carry the investigations forward in order to establish the conclusion.
Well, we've just been listening into that press conference in Tehran. We started off by hearing the head of Iran's Civil Aviation Organisation, and then Mr. Azayed, who brought us up to date on exactly where they are with their investigations into what happened with the plane. The main headline is that, according to the Iranians and their investigations so far, it was not hit by a missile. They maintain that the plane was on fire for a few minutes, and they also say that the videos that have been circulating back that up, that the plane was on fire for a few minutes before it tried to return to the airport. Well, there was plenty more in that press conference, and I'm going to bring in our correspondent, Baig, who's in Tehran, to help us unpick some of it. Asad, there was a lot said there. Just give us the headlines to start with.
Well, there was definitely a lot said there, more information than we expected. So Iran is still maintaining that this aircraft was not struck by a missile. Now, the aviation authority here did say that there was some amateur footage. However, they didn't verify that New York Times footage that showed a projectile going up and apparently hitting some sort of aircraft. But what they did say was they gave us a bit more information about the flight. They said that it caught fire for about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. He said that the pilot did contact Mehrabad Airport, which isn't the Imam Khomeini Airport. The Mehrabad Airport is a domestic airport that deals with domestic flights here in Tehran. He said that he sought permission to climb to a higher altitude of 26,000 feet. Now, they've said that they've recovered the black box with the data and that they will try to recover that. They feel that they have the expertise to recover it, but if they don't, they will seek assistance from other countries such as Canada, the US, Ukraine. But it feels like that the aviation authority here is trying to be as transparent as possible, giving us a lot of information, taking into account what's been said by the United States and Canada about the missile strike. But they've rejected categorically the head of the aviation authority here that it was hit by a missile. And he said if it was, the wreckage would have spread over a vast area. And he cited the plane that was hit in Ukraine and how by a missile and how that wreckage was spread over a vast area. And he says that this is very different. But we're getting that extra information because before we thought, and what was said was that the pilot had not communicated. But now we're hearing that he did communicate with Mehrabad Airport, requesting to climb to a higher altitude.
He made the point, Assad, several times, didn't he, that they've started with these 12 technical committees. They've also been talking with the Ukrainians. But he pointed out that starting with just extracting that data from the black box takes time, and that it will take months, potentially even years. And his final comment was really, you know, the international community should come forward with any information that they have, but also please be patient.
Yes, because there's a lot of statements that have been made, and he cited certain U.S. officials that say that they have documents to say that this aircraft was hit by a missile. Now, the Iranians are saying, if you have this proof, if you have this evidence, then come forward with it. And any other countries that have any information that can help out with this investigation, then please let us know. Now, we understand that the Ukrainian officials are already here in Iran. They've sat in on an investigation meeting. They're very much a part of the process. But yes, this investigation could take some time. He said that if we cannot... He also said that the black box has been damaged and they're looking to repair it. But they are confident that there are 4 companies within Iran that can extract that information. But if they can't, that they will seek help from other countries. But again, this is Iran, I think, on the defensive somewhat. I don't think that they expected these allegations. They didn't expect the other countries around the world to kind of join in the chorus of suspicion, saying that this aircraft was hit by a missile. So we're getting a bit more information now, especially about the pilot and the communication. They say that he did try to turn the airplane around, and his priority was to save the aircraft and the passengers.
Assad Baig now joining with the latest on that press conference, giving us more information about what's happening regarding the airliner downing in Iran. Assad, thank you.